You have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review is BMF, Season 3, Episode 7. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let's get into it. So this episode was a filler, pushing the story forward. We get to see Meech in the Lou, St. Louis, that is. So the episode starts off with a throwback. It's always started off with a throwback. There was a throwback scene with Bryant, Detective Bryant, when Meech was like maybe a teenager or 10 years old, something like that, where Detective Bryant was with the youth and teaching them baseball and stuff like that. And it showed how far Meech go back with Detective Bryant. Then it goes to Meech in St. Louis with J Pusha and J Pusha's little brother. They had a baseball diamond. Seeing the heat of J Pusha's brother, and Meech pretty much telling J Pusha he likes to set up, and they'll be able to get stuff going in St. Louis. So it shows the dynamic of this girl named Kia, played by Sa Sweetie, the hip hop rapper. However, her character Kia is like a tomboy where she hangs around with all the guys. Her parents put her into sports. She at one point went to play college ball, but she got injured. And so her dad was a hustler. So she had both sides of the fence, where she was the athletics and the sports, but then also into the streets from her dad. So she hung with J Pusha's crew. So you just instantly see she's taking a liking to Meech from the gate. J Pusha's brother that we've seen a few episodes ago at the Jack the Ripper event that's supposed to be set up to go to the big leagues. He walked away from the park, and what happened was he got kidnapped. And so it went from there. Then it went to Detroit. We know Henri torched somebody at the end of the episode, and you know how I felt about it. If you listened to my last recap, I didn't, that scene was just stupid. But nevertheless, the aftermath, Terry is with the crew. They want revenge. They ready to go at Henri. T is pretty much telling them, we need to be about the money, and we don't need to be having nobody else getting buried, and we don't need to be nobody else's family have to get that phone call that they died because of this. Basically, Terry is saying, I need to have another sit down with Frank Andreas. Of course, that's Blaze, Henry's father, and tell him pretty much he didn't want war. T got the best coke, and Henry's messing up business. So what happens from there goes back to St. Louis. In St. Louis, the kidnappers called J Pusha, telling them pretty much, we got your brother, and you showed us some bad work, and the work that because of that, we want our money back. We want better work, or we're gonna hurt your brother. So J Pusha is a hothead. So they pretty much looking at like, well, we need to make a statement. So what it also shows is that from the Al Poe and Rich Porter story, where Rich's little brother got Rich was the hustler, but his little brother got kidnapped, and the uncle kidnapped him to get money, and then he sent the mom a box with the finger in it. So I think they took a play out of that and put it in this, because they sent the mom a box, and in the box it was this brother's finger. And of course, It's his throwing hand for him being a pitcher with the baseball. Back in Detroit, Charles is home. Doorbell rings. Flowers at the door. He reads the card. It's the doctor sending Lucille some flowers. Charles reads the card. Of course, he's upset. And Lucille comes down, pretty much smells the flowers, and then she reads it. She sees it from the doctor. Her and Charles have a back and forth, and pretty much he's upset, pretty much saying, "Listen, a man sending my wife flowers," and Lucille's pretty much at this point like, I put my whole life into this family, and after putting my life to this family, I don't have nothing to show for it, and I want to enjoy myself. And she pretty much told Charles, when he think that he had her back, he was taking his extra money and pretty much going about stop fixing the house and doing other things with the money. He pretty much went at her, pretty much saying that she's buying clothes and stuff like that, and so she pretty much saying I deserve it. So they having back and forth. This is not going to end well, of course. Terry sits down with Blaze, Frank, and pretty much tell him, you said you didn't want this, but here's your daughter creating all the problems, and you standing by it. So pretty much I'm eventually start looking at you as the problem as well. So they basically in agreement, something else better got to happen because Henri's bad for business. So after back in the loo, after J Pusha got the received the box of the finger, Meech is trying to tell him calm down, and J Pusha is like, nah, this is my town. People will think I'm soft if I don't get action. Meech is like, nah, we need to stay level-headed. So Meech called Terry, pretty much told Terry he need 1,000 keys sent up to the loo so he could put the work out there. Meanwhile, after he did that, somebody they had was a U.S. veteran transporting a coke, and their old truck couldn't lost control, crashed the truck, lost the work. Meanwhile, Meech had a backup plan, had somebody else come bring the work up. When they got there, Meech was at a baseball field. The cops came and did a raid. Meech went into action. It's just showing Meech's how savvy he is and how he was able to navigate and play like to the cops. He was with he's with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he need to get to practice, and the cop let him go. Meanwhile, Meech went into action with Kill and another one of J Pusha's boy, pretty much telling them like, listen, y'all don't need to tell J Pusha, but we're gonna make a move. So he looked at and seen, they found out where the kidnappers had J Pusha's brother, and when they arrived, some of the people J Pusha put a bounty on their head, like 100,000 to find his brother and kill the dudes, or 200,000 to find his brother alive. So now that the bounty's out, everybody is looking for the kidnappers, and so they found them. They had a shootout, grabbed the brother, left. And so when Meech came there, he seen they had Chinese food and stuff, so they gotta eat. So they end up finding one of them. So the dudes, the kidnappers, was getting in a fight with each other. Pretty much one of them was like, hey, I didn't want to go this far with it. Nevertheless, at that moment, Meech ended up finding them and pretty much telling them, listen, you need to get the brother back to him. If not, you're going to be dead. So they beat him up, took his finger, and then beat him up with the bat. Back in Detroit, which you had Terry, just had his newborn, went to see LaWanda, bought LaWanda a minivan for the kids, pretty much LaWanda's telling him that he need to be there for both his kids. She got a toddler, and plus she got a newborn, and he need to make a choice. He pretty much said, you know, he's stuck on Markeisha. His mom pretty much was upset, like, I can't believe you choosing Markeisha over LaWanda. She's not family. So, of course, Terry brought up in her face, the doctor's not family either, but you dealing with him, and she's pretty much telling Terry he needs to stay out of her business. So, back at Terry's condo, Markeisha's there, seeing that Terry bought a new town car, and so she takes it upon herself to show up to talk to LaWanda, saying basically she want to talk like a grown woman. LaWanda is, of course, she's Venom, and she's popping off to Markeisha. The mom is trying to play peacemaker and listen to what Markeisha had to say, but LaWanda's not trying to hear. And so Markeisha shows up with her fur on, and so LaWanda pretty much is telling her, like, you just the side chick, really. You know, I'm the main chick. I got a fur too. And so Markeisha's pretty much like, man, last time I seen you, you was looking broke down or whatever. So they just having a cat fight in words. So Markeisha left. Meanwhile, Nicole is going to school. She got a knife. She got a box cutter, and pretty much she got a box cutter because of what happened to her friend when Lamar killed her friend. So they caught her with a knife. Both parents had to come get her, and they pretty much still, while all this is going on, everybody got their life to live. Nicole is the youngest, and nobody's really paying attention to her too much, and not seeing how she feel about everything and taking everything on, what's going on. So she's kind of venting to her parents when they came and got her with the box cutter knife. So basically, you see Detective Bryant. I got kind of forgot where I was at. You got Detective Bryant. He's in his sorrows. He runs into Detective Jen. She basically is telling them we need to get back at Henri and we need to find peace. So she goes on the undercover at, you know, that club or underground gambling spot that Henri be at. She goes undercover and befriends Henri and brings Henri in to meet her undercover. She goes back to Brian. Brian's like, what's this? Pretty much she's telling Brian about Frank Andres. Brian, of course, already know who Henri's father is. And so Detective Jen is on suspension now too, because of course Henri is connected to Frank, and the department heads know, so they're protecting him. So she made contact with Henri, and she's gonna continue with the underground. Meanwhile, Markeisha jumped into action. She ran into one of her old friends from back in the day. He's a cop now, and she pretty much invites him out to some drinks. Now, the funny thing is, the actor who's playing as the cop, he plays in Country Wayne skits as Anthony Dalton. So it was kind of funny. A lot of these characters that we've seen in BMF, they're on the skits, Country Wayne skits. So it's funny when we meet them on the Country Wayne skits and then see them in other roles, and see them in after we know them as a different character in the skits, and now we see them in these roles. They look kind of funny or whatever, because I can't get past the character I see them in the skits. So nevertheless, when he pushes up on Markeisha at the bar, Terry shows up, and she's just trying to make Terry jealous, pretty much looking at Terry, if you don't want me, somebody else to take me, pretty much. And when Terry jump into action, you know, that's all she wanted to do. She using a cop for him to get to make Terry jealous, to make him choose between her or LaWanda. And so J Pusha's J Pusha's brother finally came home. The mom was grateful to Meech, pretty much saying, "You family now." J Pusha looked at Meech and said, "You know, you my brother for life." And Meech ended up getting with Kia and knocking Kia off. She's taking a liking to him. You can see that already. Meech told J Pusha he needs a place to stay, so when he come to the loo, he could dip off. J Pusha says he got him. J Pusha's a hothead, but Meech is pretty much telling him, like, listen, we need to make this money. We can't be making things bad for business. Meanwhile, Meech got a phone call from back at Atlanta, pretty much saying that the heat is clear for him to come back now. They ain't after him no more. So he shows back to the A, knowing that things is hot. For him not for him. I'm getting caught up in words. Things is hot for the crew in the A, with the Red Dogs and the MKs. So they got to iron that out. Meanwhile, also back in Detroit, Terry was going and flipping all of Henri's crews, giving them better deals to stall her out. So we're going to see how that end up playing out with that scenario. But in the episode ended with Meech back in the A, toasting to everybody, buying everybody drinks, and that's it. So this is just a filler episode. Nothing too much went on. Just the setup in St. Louis and Meech returning back to the A at the end. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Till next time.